Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Airspeed Reads Naruto video. This one is going to be for volume 60 of the manga, which is called Kurama. A really nice cover on this volume with obviously the nine-tailed beast there and the debut of Naruto's even newer Nine-Tails mode this time with Kurama's like full assistance basically, just the two of them complete team up, the equivalent of B and the Eight Tails basically. So yeah, just really nice to get to see all the tail beasts when they're younger, with the idea like that they're kind of around the Sage of the Six Paths, and how Naruto in a way represents the kind of second coming in a way of the Sage of the Six Paths, in terms of they all basically see the Sage of the Six Paths as like a sort of a father figure. And they are beginning to see some of the same things that he had that they respected in Naruto, having otherwise not really having the greatest respect for humans, full stop. But anyway, volume 60 we cover 10 chapters, 566 to 575. Eyes and Beasts, Jinchuriki of Konoha, Four Tails, the King of Sage Monkeys, Proof of Will, Kurama, Biju Mode, Nine Names, The Path to Light, Eyes That See in the Dark, and A Will of Stone. So, yeah, really, really good volume this time out. But also a volume I think that highlights that this is good, but most of the Jinchuriki plus most of the tailed beasts, in terms of us actually getting to know them all, it is something that surprisingly the series was quite vague about. In that, okay, Naruto for the Leaf Village, Gaara for the Sand Village, B, and then most of the other Jinchuriki are just kind of like, yeah, the other villages sort of had them. And they're so, like, just, like, they hold back with the information so much that, like, now all of a sudden, there's this rush to talk about, like, all of the other tail beasts. Like, we know very little about, like, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tails. It's really 8, 9, and 1 that are the only ones we really, like, properly know about. And, you know, admittedly, like, the anime, I think that's one thing you can actually praise it for, is that it actually gave some depth to some of the other ones. Like, Three Tails got its own arc, and so on. The one that really gets a little bit of focus here is the Four Tails, Son Goku. But it's the other ones that, like, it's like 2, 5, 6, and 7 don't really get a focus in the manga all that much. You get a little bit, I think, with Six Tails? I think that's Utakata's one, because he gets a pretty decent filler arc in the anime. But it's definitely something reading this that was highlighted for me, that the other Jinchuriki are just named here. They're just brought up, and that's really all that there is to them. And I do like the exploration of basically, you know, the connection between Jinchurikis, but also the development of basically how the tail beasts themselves see kind of being part of a Jinchuriki and their perspective on things, which we've got the complete idea through Naruto, Gaara, and so on, how it is for the human who has a tail beast inside them, what their life is like, but we haven't really got it the other way around, and how much humans seem to fear and hate the tail beasts and only see them for their power and the idea that they can be possessed, and just this idea that there's more often than not never any peace for a tail beast, because they're always seen as like tools of war, and like the balance of power of the entire world is based around them being captured and in possession of one nation over the other. So that was definitely well explored in terms of like explaining why stuff like the Nine Tails just being so unwilling to cooperate with Naruto, because of like Madara always trying to capture him and like basically take control of him completely, and how always he was fought against anytime he kind of did anything, and even if it wasn't necessarily his fault, it was the humans who obviously kind of captured him and sealed him away inside of people. And just how even Kurama in this volume has to admit that, like, being within Naruto all this time hasn't been all that bad. He's actually been quite fun to be around. Like Naruto, just as a character, has come across well to Kurama, and now seeing Naruto try so hard for all of the other tail beasts. Initially, Son Goku, the Four Tails, kind of points out that like maybe I should help him and be like Yuki the Eight Tails is with B, and it ends up working out really well for them here. And what we get in this volume is basically, in a way, like a huge point in the series of just something that you never expected to happen really within the first, after seeing where like the first volume set off, of just like Naruto would become really, really close friends with the Eight Tails, the thing that inside him basically made his life the way it was, but he's kind of really made it a strength, and has now actually formed a friendship with Kurama that he never would have had otherwise. And it is very meaningful what they do here. But let's get into talking about this. So anyway, the where we kick off is basically, obviously, Killer Bee and the Eight Tails going full Eight Tails mode to fight the other Jinchuriki. And, admittedly, they do skip over a lot of the fighting. It's just big attack. They can't pull out all the rods. All of the Jinchuriki go into their version of, the Tail Beast mode. Then Guy and Kakashi show up, as obviously Toby is still there on the battlefield as well. And the idea is that it's a really big thing that Guy, Kakashi, and basically Naruto and B, those four characters alone, at this point, are like powerful enough where they're able to hold the line against basically the leader of the enemy faction on their own. And so it's kind of ends up getting reported back to the team. It happens a bit later on in the book, of course, but it gets reported back to basically the rest of the army that this is actually a thing that's happening, that Naruto is able to hold off the enemy leader on his own with the help of all these other characters as well. And it's just really cool to see like that Guy in I think he opens up to the sixth gate here. Him in that mode is able to effectively fight against really strong Jinchuriki characters empowered by Rinnegan's and so on, and not just instantly be defeated. And it speaks to the teamwork of Kakashi and Guy, and how obviously skilled Kakashi is in terms of all of his jutsu, use of the Sharingan that he has, and later on the Kamui technique that he has, the Mangekyo. But just throughout this, all the time it's happening, we obviously haven't had Naruto fully connect with Kurama yet, and just it's B trying to point out to like Kurama that like it's not me and B are not an exception. Like, you can be like this with Naruto. It's clear he has the potential to be have an amazing connection with you. It's just up to you to actually open that connection. And it's just really interesting how gradually you have the Jinchuriki going in complete tail beast transformations, to the point where it is the other tail beast basically that they're fighting coming in, and it's obviously a big kind of change in the battle that the Son Goku basically eats Naruto, and it's meant to be this almost defeat moment, but it ends up being like the key kind of core of the chapter, this interaction of Naruto and the Four Tails, as he is the one to reveal to Naruto that the tail beasts actually have names. And I suppose it reveals something about like, we knew Shukaku. We always knew that the One Tails was Shukaku, but it was obviously a reveal later on in the series that the One Tails was actually, one of the nine-tailed beasts. But that like his name is actually quite important, in that like not many people know the names of the tail beast, and Naruto finding out here that like, oh, they have names, and kind of like apologizing for like just calling it the Four Tails, and then Son Goku being like, huh? Humans don't apologize to us for these type of things, and just knowing how like kind of sincere, genuine Naruto is, that he can actually just talk to him and it not just be this issue, but still saying, like, you're just a Jinchuriki, it's all about power, you just want me to give you my power, is that why you're talking to me here like this? And just how he conveys to Son Goku like his story of like being a Jinchuriki, and kind of, I know how it is to feel like isolated by the people around you in a different way, but roughly the same, and how, like, you know, my name means something to me, your name means something to you. So the fact that Toby basically said he doesn't have a name, that's a really notable thing, that he feels he can do whatever he wants just because he doesn't have a name. And he talks about how jealous he feels of Killer Bee and the Eight Tails, and that he really actually wants to be friends with Kurama. And the whole idea of, from I think 2 volumes ago, when Naruto said to Kurama, I'll tackle your hate as well, that's actually brought back as like a really, really big moment, that the fact that Naruto said that. But anyway, he ends up getting out of Son Goku, and the idea is just that Naruto has to break the connection between the Eight Tails and Kabuto and all this sort of stuff to stop them being chained down, basically. And it ends up kind of working out in the end as Naruto kind of accomplishes this. He manages in the end to team up with Kurama, and it's this huge moment as like the tailed beasts are beginning to like join forces with Naruto. First Son Goku, then Kurama eventually does it, and we get the big moment of just the idea of the power of the fist bump, which is going to be a notable thing ongoing, but we've seen it up to now already as well. And it's just I like how they kind of get here, and that like you think it needs to be this really emotional conversation between the two of them, but it's just this idea of like he over time, Kurama has just become like honestly interested and invested in Naruto, and seeing Naruto interact with the other tail beasts has kind of just like done just enough to kind of prove to Kurama that like I can be completely open with this guy. I don't need to, like, if he lets me out, just completely try and take him over. There is a trust between us now, and we can try and do this. And so they even point out that the connection between them once they get into the full chakra mode isn't like perfect, and that it's only going to last 5 minutes this first time, but the power output is really, really amazing, as you can see the first look at the design there. Really, really cool. Just kind of establishing that the first mode was basically just like Naruto with basically the max power that he could have, but it being very kind of unconfined. It's just like he's stolen some of the Nine Tails chakra, and it's just kind of pouring out of him. Here it's like a kind of more composed kind of merging of the two, in that it's like it has these, you know, distinct patterns on it, and it's more clear. So I kind of like that aspect of the design, and that it's still like a cloak of the Nine Tails in a way, but it's more solidified in that sense. So really, really amazing stuff here. As one of the big moments is basically all of the other tail beasts combine forces for a Biju bomb, and then Naruto, for the first time properly using it, uses a Biju bomb and manages to blow the other one away. They explain it's like a special tactic of like he aimed his one low so that it would bounce the other one high, and B is like amazed by this. You know, B and the Eight Tails, that one tail beast could do this, and it speaks to the power of this union that they have here. So really nice stuff. And then what we get after this is obviously Naruto basically meeting with all of the other tail beasts. That in the intervening time between him talking to Son Goku and Son Goku being sealed away, Son Goku talked to the other tail beasts and basically said, you know, someone's going to be coming in to talk to you guys shortly. I like him. Give him a chance. And we kind of end a little bit with Son Goku before he's sealed away by basically just him talking to his Jinchuriki, the old man, and kind of the old man kind of saying, do you think we could have traveled a different path? And just this idea that even though clearly they never really got along, and there was like some level of hatred between them, there's this moment at the end as they kind of disappear together, of just like he noted that like, you are more obstinate than the Tsuchikage Onoki, and have you gone soft after death, and you know, you never even remembered my name, and you know, like you know, I still ain't soft enough to start calling you by your name after being Jinchuriki for 40 years plus, though I haven't forgotten it either. And it's just this idea, like he says, okay, so recite my full name, which is Son Goku, and he's just like, is Son good enough? Like, just like calling him just the first part, and it's just this idea of like, Okay, that's nice. That like these moments of like, even though it comes across as just as pure hatred between like all Jinchurikis and their tail beast, that if they've been the Jinchuriki for a long time, that there is a certain level of understanding between them. It's just a nice little moment, and we get introduced to basically all of the other ones that we don't know about all that well. Of the two tails is Matabi, and the Jinchuriki was Yugito. Three tails is Isobu, and the Jinchuriki was the fourth Mizukage Yagura. Then we get Kokuo and Han, Saiken and Utakata, Chomei and Fu. And it's just a nice little flashback here. I think this is definitely one of the more notable scenes of just Kurama like reflecting, and this being the big comparison moment of Naruto and the Sage of Six Paths, of just getting to see all the tail beasts when they were kind of younger, and a big moment here of basically like making it really clear that like the Sage of Six Paths basically created the tail beast by like separating the, I suppose, like it's difficult in terms of like, I know the explanation because I watched the anime, and like especially the filler arc that focuses on like Kaguya and later the Sage of Six Paths. I know all of this information, but I always forget like how much has actually been presented in the manga up to now. Like, do we actually know that the Sage of Six Paths has done this like separation of the tail beasts, or am I just adding that from like extra stuff into the novel, into the manga where it is at this point? But he makes it kind of clear that like he basically did separate them into what they are now, and that someone will unite you all together and show you what true strength actually is. And just this conversation taking place close to the death of the Sage of Six Paths, and him basically predicting that like someday someone like me will come along, and it being so clear that that person is Naruto now. And he is, uniting all of the tail beasts together. And I really, really like the moment when basically he comes out of the psyche plane where he's talking to them, and he just basically says to Toby, like, I've spent just the last couple of minutes, learning a lot of really difficult to kind of to remember names, basically, and just addressing this whole idea of like, names, what are you talking about? And just that because Naruto knows the names of all the tail beasts and has formed a connection with them, he is always going to be more powerful than like Toby, who only wants to use them for their powers. And I think that's really clear just from the way Naruto, what his Nine Tails mode was like when he unlocked it in training with B, versus where it is now with Kurama being like fully invested in the connection. And just basically this confidence from Naruto really kind of shaking some of the confidence of Toby at this point. Like, he was just meant to be like a pawn in my game, but he's pushing me to the absolute limit here. And this is when Shikamaru's father gets Ino's father to kind of communicate to the army that like Naruto's standing firm up against the enemy, and it's a huge moment. But we do get some Sasuke stuff, which I think was interesting in that we do cut away from just before the big fight's going to happen between Naruto and Toby to seeing what Sasuke is up to. We get a little bit with Suigetsu and Jugo as well, as they begin to investigate some stuff. And they come across a secret section of one of Orochimaru's labs. And it's like, oh, Orochimaru planned all of this. This intel could change the whole outcome of the war. And just Suigetsu has this big important thing that he's going to give to Sasuke. And just like, what is this? Like, what's Sasuke's involvement in the war going to be? Because like Naruto only found out about it late, Sasuke only finds out about it here by basically defeating some of these Zetsus and testing out his powers. And he basically just confirms that, like, it's time for me to find Naruto and finally cut him down. And that's his aim at this point, and he wants to show his brother of, like, look, I'm going to use your eyes. I'm at the level that you told me to be at, and I'm going to do this now. We do quickly catch up with the five Kages fighting against Madara. And basically, it's just a quick thing establishing that they're staying in the fight, but just the sheer power of Madara, the fact that on his own he can fight the five Kage with very little issues, speaks to that strength. And we get a little Inoki flashback to the fact that he used to be obviously the fence sitter in the past. He maybe didn't have the drive, the passion that he has now, that the likes of Naruto and Gaara have really drawn out of the Tsuchikage, and just how he fights back as he gets his particle style going again. And we do get the reveal of why Madara is so powerful and able to use wood style is because he's grafted the first Hokage cells onto his body, and so has the kind of regenerating powers plus the wood style of him. And then the final bit in the chapter is just that the reanimated Itachi, who's now free, comes across Sasuke, and that's going to be a really, really important interaction, because obviously Itachi has more or less kind of said he's leaving. He's more or less said that he's going to leave Sasuke to Naruto. So what exactly is Itachi actually going to say to Sasuke at this point, and how's Sasuke going to react now that he can actually talk to his brother and talk about, like, ask him, why did you do so much for the village? Like, my perspective is that I want to, hurt the village because of what happened. What are you actually going to tell me? And I really like this decision that Sasuke has just basically has his new eyes, knows about the war, and is basically, I'm going to enter the war and kill Naruto and accomplish what I need to do. And immediately seeing Itachi back active again, and immediately like turns that on its head, like, what's going to happen next. So that's a really like effective cliffhanger that like immediately like, character has decided they're going one direction, wait a second, we're going this direction. So really good stuff. Towards the end, obviously getting a lot of characters into position. Suigetsu has an important thing from Orochimaru. Naruto, of course, now basically imbued with the full power of the Nine Tails, with the support of all the other tail beasts fighting Madara. That looks like the battle swinging in the good guys' side direction. The whole army is basically they're bolstered by the fact that the war is going so well and the impact that Naruto has had. It's overall just a really, really effective volume. I wouldn't say it's the best volume, as I said. It does suffer a little bit because this is basically all of the Jinchuriki tail beast stuff for the most part. Obviously, we still have to properly get introduced to the 10 tails and what exactly that is. But in terms of the separate tail beasts and kind of getting to know them, this is the majority of it, and it's good. But I also feel like it is stuff that almost I feel should have been introduced in the manga before now. And it is something that the anime kind of has a little bit over the manga, just because it does tackle at least the identity of some of the Jinchurikis, some of the tail beasts, other than the ones we already know prior to this. So there's definitely some little things like that, but on the whole, a very, very effective volume. So yeah, that's been volume 60 of the manga. Only 12 more to go in the series, and as I said, I'm making an effort to kind of do these a little bit quicker. You'll probably see the volume 61 review later in the week, probably Friday or Saturday, but we'll have to see about that. But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.